In courtrooms across America, Black men and women are brought into courtrooms in shackles, in orange jumpsuits, in a line that is reminiscent of the slave block, and they're brought in for quote unquote justice. Black public defenders play a role in the system that is critical simply by us being there.
The Black public defender is unique in many ways. Black people in this country, we have it hard. We face racism, we face prejudice, just as, Black people in this country, from the time of slavery up to today. And public defenders have it hard, right? Public defenders are ostracized, and hated sometimes because we represent people who are charged with crime. So if you are a Black public defender, you're definitely facing so much in your life, as a person, as a lawyer, as an advocate.
The South is rough. They're carrying caseloads over 200. They don't have the social worker. They don't have the mental health specialist. They don't have the investigators. They don't have the necessary resources to be able to really defend their client in the way that their client deserves. But BPDA, to be able to provide that training, to be able to provide that network, to be able to, they provide those people to lean on to make sure you're able to make it tomorrow, in the next week, in the next month, because our clients deserve it. I decided to get my law degree because I truly wanted to be able to help my community and to be able to help people who look like me, but I also need help, right? And the Black Public Defender Association are the people who provide that help to me.
The job description did not prepare me for the times that I cried, thinking that I was not a good enough public defender, thinking that I signed up to do this job because Louisiana is the prison capital of the world, and here I was failing in my job because there goes another Black person to prison maintaining that statistic.
There were just times where I felt alone, or where I felt like, people here don't really understand me. The most senior Black attorney was, Mike Oppenheimer. He was only 1 year ahead of me. So it's like, how much more can you know than me for you to be a senior attorney? I just didn't have that mentorship. I didn't have the proper perspective. I didn't have what now exists officially in the BPDA.
When you walk into a room and you see all Black people who resist carceral systems sitting in a room together, there's so many things you no longer have to explain. As a public defender, we're always having to explain, well, how do you defend those people? As a family defense attorney, well, how do you defend a mother? And as a Black person, I'm constantly, defending my own existence and identity, right? And as a Black woman, that's also the case. When I walked into that room, and there were so much of us that was the same in that space, despite all of our differences, right? It was a magical moment because I knew that I was going to be entering into a much deeper level of the conversation. Because more often than not, I spend the first half of most meetings, most times, most things that I do, working to explain Blackness, explain public defense, explain a carceral system. That wasn't the case with BPDA, right? We got to just get into it. And we got to then get into it in a loving way. We got to laugh. And it was just a beautiful, magical experience sitting together and just building that community together.
We were Black folks working in a system that harms Black folks. And nobody ever talked about it. We didn't fully talk about the secondary trauma that comes with working within the criminal legal system. So I think about the need that the Black Public Defender Association fills is it creates space for Black public defenders to be their authentic selves, to have support of the Black public defender community, but also share resources, share tactics, share lessons learned, all in the spirit of improving public defense, while equipping public defenders with the necessary resources, with the necessary community, and the necessary space to be the best public defenders that we need them all to be.
The thing that excites me most about BPDA is that it creates a community of people who have the same shared experiences as me, who oftentimes face a lot of the same trials and tribulations as me in terms of moving up through the legal system. We are able to share in that hurt and that grief, and then also to strategize together and to build together and think about ways in which we can overcome those things and think about ways in which we can elevate ourselves in our career. The relationships that I have built since being in BPDA are expansive. I built relationships with people who are not just in my jurisdiction, not just in my state, right, but who are doing this work across the country, and long-term relationships. And those are professional and personal. And I think, whenever something comes up for me in practice, I don't feel alone. And that is what BPDA, to me, the most exciting thing that BPDA has established for Black public defenders is that you're never going to be alone in this. There's always going to be an organization of people who 100% will have your back and are 100% there to help guide you through any sort of thing that you may be going through personally or in your career as an attorney.
I am so excited that the Black Public Defender Association exists because it is a safe haven for like-minded folks, right, to come together and to talk specifically about the challenges not only that we face as defenders ourselves, many of us whom practice in public defender offices that don't look like us, right? Even amongst our allies who care a lot about the same issues, we experience that role differently in so many different ways. And so having this safe haven of mentors, of discussion space, of ideas and collaboration around what does it mean to be a public defender in this moment in history, in the organizations in which we practice, I think is really critical.
I cannot think of a better organization that deserves the funding, that deserves the attention, that deserves the recognition, just everything. I'm hoping to be able to get my whole office involved with the Black Public Defender Association.
When we think about what is power, power means decreasing isolation. Power means coming together. Power means movement together in a space where we are designing liberation and we are also claiming our own freedom, right? That is powerful. That's exactly what BPDA does, right? It decreases that isolation around Black public defenders who are resisting the system.
Elevating the voices of Black public defenders is a critical issue because we come from communities that have been underserved or misserved by the criminal legal system. We know what the problems are. We have a responsibility to speak the truth, our truth, to power. And by doing that, we can change the way the system works. Nobody is going to suggest that it'll happen overnight. And we have had too many examples in America of coming to a tipping point where something could roll forward toward justice or backward toward what we've had before. And when it comes to racial justice, at every tipping point America has had, we have always rolled backward. Right now, we are at another one. And so this is a critical time. And by us speaking our truth in courtrooms across America, by us demanding that our clients who come from our communities get treated with respect and get justice that actually resembles something close to what the word justice actually means, we are making a difference. We are going to change the narrative in the criminal legal system. And by simply, as I said, existing in this space, we are changing the way the courtroom looks and works.
There are few issues that are more important in America than the reform of the criminal legal system. And there are few needs that are greater than the need for zealous representation of the many Black and brown people that appear in our nation's juvenile and criminal legal systems. And there are few organizations that are better equipped than the Black Public Defender Association to bring about those reforms and to provide that zealous advocacy. So I implore all of you to support financially, substantively, emotionally, the Black Public Defender Association. Thank you.